Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this one, we are going to model this puddle. This is going to be quite interesting as we are going to model these large roundings on a cylinder. I believe this tutorial could be one of the best examples of how to utilize Ngons to create perfect flows around the details. This tutorial will also include UV unwrapping. This is the final UVs of this puddle. This was quite challenging and many people find it quite hard to unwrap non-uniform bottles. As you can see, the bottle narrows toward the top, and this is quite challenging to represent in the UVs, but with the workaround I will show you in this tutorial, you are going to level up your bottle game. Anyways, enough talk, now let's get into the tutorial. Let's start with a cylinder. I will add this one in. I will hit N and B to see the wireframes. Now let's adjust the height. 125 is going to be okay. Then I will set this to 6. This is going to give us these square polygons, which is exactly what we want. Now I will turn off the caps, then drop this cylinder under a subdivision surface. I will set this to 1. We need more resolution to add that detail in, so this is why I subdivided this object one time. You could also play around with the segments, but I just find this way easier. Then I will make this subdivision surface editable. This time around, let's do it differently. Instead of using a symmetry object, I will enable Symmetry Hub. This initially will mirror on the X, so yeah, I need to select these polygons. 8 polygons vertically and let's see, 6 polygons horizontally. I will hold down right mouse, then select these polygons, then delete them. By the way, let me turn this off, this work plane. Let's drop these objects under a subdivision surface. The first thing we need to solve out is the roundings. If I enable sub D, and if you compare the roundings, these do not match. We need larger roundings. To do that, I will grab polygon pen tool, hold down Ctrl, and add these triangles. I will hit Q. Yeah, now the roundings are looking way better. But in exchange, we are gonna get these triangles. Now let's find a way to get rid of them. Actually, the solution is quite easy as there are not many options. I could not dissolve out these vertical edges. If I do that, this is going to, break the cylindrical shape. So whatever happens, we should not touch these guys. We should instead dissolve out these horizontal edges because these do not anything to the actual shape of the cylinder. Like I can select them all and dissolve out and nothing is going to change. The only thing we need to do is select the proper edges to dissolve out. Let's hit Q, then let me show you the wireframes. I'm going to right click. I will select this as well and dissolve out these edges. As you can see, the flow is looking way better, but it is not perfect yet because I want my flow to go with the curvature or with the detail. So to achieve that flow, I will additionally dissolve out these edges as well. I know this is going to sound and look weird, but just look at the flow. I will first enable the subdivision surface, then dissolve out these edges. And here we go. Now the flow is going with the detail, with the roundings. Ctrl Z, I'm sorry, I made another mistake. First, I need to adjust these roundings. So I will select these edges by holding Shift. Then I will hit T and scale them on the Y. The reason is the length of these edges should be as even as possible. This one is looking larger than these ones, so I want to move these up. That should even out the edges, I hope. I'm going to hit Q. Okay, this is looking way better. Now let's do the same. Alt and Shift. Select these edges. Hit Q, then let's dissolve out these edges. Perfect. By the way, I will set this to 1. Now I need to even out these edges. I will double click on the edges. Then right click, equal spacing tool. I'm not quite happy with these polygons because, I keep talking about uniformity. I want these polygons as square as possible. To do that, we should add in a few more loops like these ones. Maybe on these polygons. Now I will include these edges as well. Hit Q equals spacing tool. Yeah, now we are talking. Just look at the sizes of these polygons. They are the same in size, more or less, which is perfect. Now let's make this sub-editable. I will call this back model, and let's drop this one into a new sub-D. I'm going to hit NNA and zoom in because I want to show you something. So basically, we'll get some artifacts around the roundings. I hope it's coming through the video, like here and here and here. To fix that problem, I will basically project this new mesh onto a perfect cylinder. This is why in the first place I subdivided this mesh a few times. So to do that, let's add in a cylinder. I will shrink that down, then increase up the rotation segments. As I said, this is supposed to be as smooth as possible. Then I will hide it. Then I will go into model mode, select the model, hold down shift and add in a smoothing deformer. Then I will add in another deformer, which is called shrink wrap deformer, and it should be below the smoothing deformer. Next up, I will drop that cylinder in the target object tab. The smoothing deformer will not do a lot to the shape, but I usually combine these two deformers together. The surface will be artifacts free. It's going to be as smooth as possible after I have applied these deformers. So let's do that. Right click, connect objects and delete. I will hit Q. And yeah, perfect. Now it is time to extrude these edges. I will double click on one of these edges. It is going to select the whole loop, right click, extrude these in. I'm going to hit T to scale these edges on the Y. Okay, now let's hit E. Right click on one of these axes and set it to world. Set it to normal. Then hold down Control, extrude these on the Z. Once I have done that, I will go back to the world coordinates, right click, select the world, hold down Control and extrude these along the X. Now I need to align these selected edges perfectly with the X axis because the symmetry is mirroring these on the X. So let's open up the coordinate manager, set this to world, find the X. First, I'm going to zero out the position of these edges. Then I will zero out the size. And here we go. By the way, do not count on the Symmetry Hub. The tool is not working properly. It is not fully functional, especially when you want to use Polygon Pen tool. It is quite prone to errors. So most of the time you will be better off with the symmetry objects. I just wanted to try something different in this one. Anyways, now I will flatten out these edges by holding Shift and scaling them on the Y. Okay, next up, let's scale this in. It seems like I locked one of the axes. If this happens, come over here and unlock the axis you locked. Scale these in. Hold down Control. By the way, let me turn off the Symmetry Hub. We do not need it. Scale these in by holding Control. Then I will apply Close Polygon Hole tool. I will set this to Patch and rotate these new polygons so that these polygons will align with the world axis, like the Z axis. Next up, let's do something cool with the bottom section. I will select the point, then I will come over here to the soft selection, enable it, set this to DOM, which will make the radius a little bit softer, then bring that down to, let's say, something like 40. I will move these up, turn this off. Next up, I'm going to again flatten out these edges. I want this part as even as possible. The reason is there will be change in the shape. Alt and Control, move that up, scale these in. Unfortunately, I do not have a blueprint to follow, so I will eyeball it. Maybe I can come over here. I know this is a very primitive way to mesh the size. Now let's bulge out these polygons. To do that, I will drop in a loop right in the middle, then enable the preserve curvature. Let's increase these up. I will increase up the tension. That seems fine. I will grab these, move these down, scale them up slightly. This area is quite important because this is where the rounding starts. So we should keep this area as even as possible. Maybe I could apply equal spacing tool just a little bit to these edges. If you scale them, it is going to do the same thing basically. Let's select these edges, Alt and Control, move these up. Hit T, scale these in, and one last extrude. Perfect. Now it is time to sharpen up the edges we want to sharpen. This is going to be quite easy with the help of the Bevel tool. I will just double click on these edges. Right click, Bevel. I will go into solid modes. Then also I will set this to uniform. Hit Q and bevel out these edges. Depending on what you want, you can play around with the offset. If you want something quite sharp, you can leave it like that. But I usually like to have smoother edges. This one is looking just perfect. Next up, I could drop in these loops. Let me turn this option off. Q and drop these in. Looks perfect. Next up, yeah, these edges. Perfect, except for this inner part. Somehow we messed that part up. I believe it was the move tool, the radius of the soft selection. Yeah, so let's fix it. It's going to be quite easy. I will just double click on these edges to make a fill selection. UNF, Alt and Shift, then delete these edges, polygons, points, whatever you have in the middle. Then right click, Stitch and Sieve tool, Alt and Shift, and match these matching points. It is going to be that easy. I will drop that loop in, back. Nice. I especially like that part. Nice and smooth transition. The only thing I don't like about the bottle right now is these parts. There is a mismatch. To fix that, I will double click and select these edges in the middle, then dissolve them out. I will move these up. Then drop that loop in, increase up the cuts, enable preserve curvature. Yeah, that looks